Hey everyone, this is David de Hilster. I am here on Saturday for the Science Chats, sponsored by the John Chappell Natural Philosophy Society and Dissident Science. And we're going to talk about 2020 and 2021 coming up, which we're in already. That's going to be our discussion today. So again, this is David de Hilster, and it's our first broadcast of 2021. So I thought it would be really great today to look back on what we have done, what we accomplished in 2020, and what we're planning for 2021. So I really hope to get some people in the discussion because we have some things to decide as an organization and as a community. And so let's go forward with my little presentation before we start discussion. And by the way, if you do want to join in the discussion live with us, you can go to live.naturalphilosophy.org. What that does, that is a subdomain which I point to this particular broadcast, which is ZP9I5K6Z2U. So no one remembers that. So it's a lot easier to go to live.naturalphilosophy.org. It is working, but having a discussion today is very important because we need to discuss some points about what directions we're going this coming year. So again, if you're interested in coming on air and talking with me and discussing some things, that would be great. You're very much invited. So got a little bit, I don't know, it's hangover. I think I stayed up until 5:30 in the morning on New Year's Day. So been a little bit sleepy, but we're getting the energy back, and I figured, no, we can't miss the first Saturday of the month, the first Saturday of the year of 2021. So let's go forward with my presentation here. Of course, our mission, as always, for those who don't know, is to be an organization above all that promotes critical thinking without malice, to be an organization that supports, publishes, and promotes serious scientific work outside the mainstream, to provide a forum for debate about modern topics in physics, cosmology, philosophy, and mathematics, to provide a forum for presenting serious papers and theories without fear of censorships, and to be run and controlled in its entirety by its paid membership, including the election of directors by its members. Very important, of course. And how can you participate? Of course, you can sign up at naturalphilosophy.org. We have been gaining people very regularly. I see people registering and getting in the discussion. Lots of new people, which is great. And of course, consider becoming a membership. Memberships are annual. Actually, that's not true. Only now they are also monthly. And I would really, really ask you, if you can, to donate monthly. $5, $10, $20, $25, even $50. I know some people out there have those kinds of available funds to help out. It's quite vital. I'm going to have a slide later on to tell you what kinds of expenses we have. And the good news is that we've got lots of great software, great things that we're doing, well worth it. We'll talk about that. But also you can participate in community discussions on our website. That's what they're for. There's usually a debate. Someone goes in there and stirs up some, not controversy, some topic that really gets people going, and you can discuss it online. The good thing about it is it's recorded for prosperity. It's actually indexed as well. So you want to get it out there and discuss. There are lots of forums, lots of groups to join. So it's quite a good website that we have. We'll talk about that as well, the website. And then, of course, post news and happenings about us on social media. Again, for people who've been around in the CNPS for a while, social media is where it's at. That's where we're getting our new members, folks. You can say what you want. I know the old guard very well. I'm a great admirer of all their work. I've been involved with this group since 1996, which is 25 years, I guess, now. And just amazing minds, but I know it's a lot not easy for everybody to get it through, to understand that Facebook, YouTube, those are the places where people are showing up to get and find things that they are interested in, and of course websites as well. So very important to post things. Get yourself a Facebook page, post it, let people know about when we're going live and all that. So very important. Of course, our websites we have are the community website, naturalphilosophy.org. Our online magazine, sciencewoke.org, which gets quite a few hits. We got lots of people reading about that. I post a lot from, I'm part of, I won't say, I'm part of a couple Facebook groups out there, and not to harass or be a troll or anything like that, but more to get out there and put the word out. So when I see a topic going up talking about something like relativity, I'll go and put the link to our relativity problems page so people can, those people who are curious and critical thinkers can go in that direction. And it does work because I can see the counts of the pages go up when I do those kinds of things. So I think that's really important for us to do. So sciencewoke.org has really been a very good popularity. And our Wikipedia, wiki.naturalphilosophy.org, is indexed quite a bit. In fact, if you Google your name and you're in there, most likely one of the top entries is going to be from our Wikipedia, because whenever you have the real Wikipedia software, they know that. And that's what we have. It's free software I put up there, and I had to upgrade it. Oh my gosh. If you're a software engineer and you want to upgrade Wiki, it's not like click and let it go. It's not easy at all. It's a database. It's a long story, but it's not easy to do. I think I've already done one upgrade. Again, it's not easy. You got to upgrade the database, you got to upgrade the software, and do it without everything crashing. So we have that, and of course, our coming this year, we're going to talk about that today too, is our Chappell University's courses in natural philosophy. Oh, see, I'm so smart now. I'm going to play the bumper because I always forget to do that. Well, what is that? Well, here we go. See, make yourself notes in your own notes, and then things won't go awry. But anyways, of course, we're going to go take a look at, well, why that bumper should have been played after this. Anyways, this is a community website, and you want to take a look at it. This is actually a live grab from about 15 minutes ago. I think we're up to almost 70 people who are now registered for it. So it's continually growing, continually. Go in there and see lots of people, lots of new people. We do get spam once in a while. Once in a while we get that, but we do have things in place to avoid that. We can mark things that are spam, or people come in and who are just trolling. Of course, trolls are those people that come in whose only job it is to disrupt. And we're always aware of those people, and we don't have any problem with anybody coming in and debating us. What we do have a problem is the way people debate. If you can't be polite, if you can't be a person that can't drop an F-bomb every 5 words, like I know even on the internet there are people like that. Folks, you got to just have at least respect for others you're talking to, and there's unfortunately a lot of people out there that don't do that. But it's easy today to watch for those people and eliminate it. And so far we've been pretty lucky. I've not had to excuse me, something in my throat here. I've not had to ban very many people, although we have the ability even here to do that. And I've done it a couple times because some people will come in, but the most of the part, people have been very polite, and that's what we're looking for, of course. Okay. Coming in January 21, coming in, I'm not sure January, but this year is going to be talk with Dr. Alexander Unsker. He is, let me get rid of this. He is an amazing mind. He is the author of The Higgs Fake and Einstein's Lost Keys. He has his own YouTube channel, which I guess he's got about 8,000 people now. He all of a sudden started going up there. Great guy. I mean, he takes on particle physics head on. He's got a doctoral degree in science. I think it's physics. And he wrote the book, The Higgs Fake. If you have not read it, you should. If you like science, if you like physics and you don't read that book, I'm sorry, but you're not going to learn a huge truth of the matter of particle physics, which is the science and the engineering and the logic upon which they find particles is a house of cards, to say the least. Again, I've said this before, SpaceX or NASA, if they sent in their scientists into a particle accelerator and watched these people do what they call their science to find particles, it would be roasted, toasted, and exploded in about probably a couple hours, because the way they go about it is absolutely biased. It's absolutely unscientific and illogical, but no one's watching them. No one cares about it. There's billions of dollars that are being spent, and there's very few people going after them. Well, Dr. Alexander Unsker is one of those. He has agreed to talk in the future with us. Of course, another person coming, hopefully here in January, is Nick. Nick. Nick of Time, we call him, your time gurus, saving scientific souls in the nick of time. This is, hey, it's marketing, right? But Nick's Percival, if you haven't gotten to his page, we'll list those pages coming up here. Again, the reason I do that, a lot of people see this is the first YouTube video they see of us at Dissident Science and the CNPS. So try to get people, but understanding and getting to know what's out there. But Nick is going to be coming on and talking about special relativity. He's from Harvard, an amazing, amazing mind. I really like, a very personable person. He's getting up there in his age, but my gosh, octogenarians, look out! The world's got lots of them, and they are amazing people. Of course, there's now, take a look at the YouTube channels, Unsker. Go to Unsker's Real Physics, the Machian, and you want to take a look at that. Ray Fleming, he's got just started his channel. Take a look at that. Of course, Lori Gardi, the Fractal Woman. She passed me in Dissident Science with subscribers. She's got a lot of great stuff out there about physics, relativity recently, about magnetism. Very, very well put together YouTube channel. We have the Energy Wave Theory by Jeff Yee. Amazing graphics, amazing work by Jeff Yee, who's actually getting put up $15,000. I don't know if it's old money, but from somewhere, to have people work on his model. I think with Blender, which is a three-dimensional model. You want to check that out if you haven't. And Particle Guru, Bob de Hilster. I think he's maybe past 400 subscribers now. My dad talking about the particle model. We're still working on the book. We got our book there. This is our draft of it, and we also have another book that we're going to be publishing with George Coyne. So look forward to those two books being published via the CNPS publishing part of our organization. So you want to take a look at that and subscribe. Again, if you don't even buy it, if you don't believe in a particle model, no, not with photon, folks. We don't have a photon, but people want to do that. People want to call us ether and all that, but it doesn't matter. What I'm saying is you don't have to agree with these people, but at least support them. And why you'd say that? Well, I don't support anything that I don't think is, well, guess what? We want people to listen to us. How many people here want the world to listen to what they're saying? Your model or your ideas, and then you don't support other people. If you can't even support the people who are critical thinkers outside mainstream, then I'm not going to listen to you. Why would I listen to you? It's no different. So you can't have it two different ways. You can't be a person who wants people to listen to you and then at the same time not listen to anybody else. So supporting and just subscribing is a huge help, because the more subscribers all of these people get, the more people are going to take a look at it. And what it does is it makes people become critical thinkers, and that's what we do. I'm not here ever to tell you what to think. I'm not here to tell you what's right. That I'm here to get you to become a critical thinker. That's my particular job. But again, support these people that I'm putting on here. Nick of Time, of course, has his channel. Amazing videos, of course, on special relativity. Subscribe to him, folks. It just takes a few seconds. How hard is it? And people, I won't do it. And then you wonder why. Well, why don't we have thousands of people attending our our videos. Well, guess what? You're not helping out. You got to help out. Sorry, folks. And of course, as Alexander Unsker says, keep working on your passion. That's really, really important. So, um, let's see. Oh, I'm going to check out the chat. I see people. What are, so we got to find out. All right, I got it. We're just going to watch out in the chat. I apologize if I do see people who are just sitting here spamming us or trolling us, then I will put them in a timeout. So there we go. Some timeouts going on here. Sorry about that. Clicking on the wrong ones. I will watch that. Please alert me in the chat, those people who are here trying to, learn something, be here to enter in discussion. So let's start with our year in review, which is where the bumper should have been. But of course, I put these things together a couple of hours before this talk. So here's my year in review. And I'm not going to talk about the physics and all the craziness that goes on in particle physics and gravity waves. And are they going to make a bigger version of the Large Hadron Collider? Or all the stupidity that we see, unfortunately, coming out in mainstream, talking about experiments that are just baseless because we have no models for any of these things, yet they talk profusely about them. So this is more about us and our group and where we are, etc. So 2020, a year of cancellations, of course, we know that. In the beginning of the year, I was planning, I'm the major person planning the conferences and have so, and been doing that since probably 2008. I've helped out, and then from 2008 until today, so that's over 12 years. I've been working with the conferences, and we've had conferences in the last 5 years with our new organization, CNPS, and they've been pretty successful. We've had anywhere from 15 to 20 people show up during the course of the in-person conference, but of course, COVID this year canceled our in-person conference, and we did consider having an online conference, but really, it turned out that with all the chaos going on around the world, we'd really decided to postpone that conference. I finally made that decision because I think with everything going on, even with an online conference, I think there was just too much going on with everybody. I know even financially, some people were having a harder time keeping their job, working out, people getting sick. So I think it's not, I work for a company, LexisNexis, where in the supercomputing department, we had our conference online, but that was a mega, endeavor for us to do that. It was pretty good, and we were able to do talks and all that. It isn't the same. Having in-person conferences is much more desirable. But, of course, that's one of the things that happened in 2020. Of course, then we also had a new website. The Natural Philosophy website was in need of an upgrade big time. I mean, I put that up. I had the websites that we've had for our organization have been gone through at least 3 or 4 iterations. I've been doing that since 2008 or 2000. Yeah, I think about 2008. 2007. When I did put it up, the NPA at that time accused me of trying to take over. It's like, oh, jeez. I'm sorry. This is just telling you a little bit of history, but it was ridiculous. I'm saying, look, guys, I'm trying to help out. I'm trying to put this here, and I put it up. I organized. I put people there. I tried to do stuff. I just tried to pull us into the 21st century. And, it's just truly amazing. Amongst really great thinkers, we still get this pettiness of thinking people are out there to do something for themselves. And of course, I mean, it does happen. We had a big fissure between our director. We brought in directors who actually went rogue on us. And you just don't believe that people with critical thinking minds would do such things, but they're human beings. So, I did put that up, that website, and once people got it, that I wasn't trying to take over, that I was actually trying to help, we got to a point where we were helping. And then when we had our split off, and 98% of us moved to a new organization, so we could leave that behind. Of course, I kept the websites up, and the websites kept moving. And then we did this. I concentrated for a couple of years on sciencewoke.org. I concentrated another year on our Wikipedia, because managing the same software that Wikipedia does, that's what we have on our server. It's not an easy thing. So there's quite a lot of time based that I worked on that. And then, of course, our 2008 was based on a custom software. We still use that database. In fact, if you go to naturalphilosophy.org, I've written PHP hooks. PHP is a programming language mostly used for the internet, and I have hooks into our database. So if you go to a person who's registered, and if I put their ID in for our World Science database, which is our database, you will see their abstracts and books listed there. And that was a link I put in our brand new software. Of course, we have new software. It's all subscription based, all commercial. So we don't have anything except for our database, which is proprietary. It's not really proprietary, but it is our database that oh my gosh, Greg Volk and myself worked 3 years of gathering over 10,000 pieces of information of scientists' books and articles and abstracts from this world around the world. So, and there's some serious costs, of course, involved with all this now. Now that it's not custom based, because when it was custom based, there was no subscriptions needed or anything like that. But I do want to make some special thanks in 2020, because it was around September, October where we got this new software. These people who actually gave donations, and not small donations. And Dr. Cynthia Whitney, who happens to be our chief scientist, I guess her health is not the greatest. I think she's almost 80 or in her 80s. But she's still there. I do communicate with her. If you haven't read about her story, go to Science Woke. She got her degree from MIT in special relativity, a PhD in special relativity, and her first assignment was to apply it to that involved the Sagnac, which is the Sagnac effect, which is light going around in a circle. She applied her work from her PhD in special relativity to her first real physics problem, and it failed. And that's how she became a dissident in science. She went back to her professor and said, Professor, I just wrote my PhD in this, and it doesn't work with ring gyroscopes. And the professor says, yeah, we know. That's what we're up against, folks. They know it. People in the university know relativity is wrong, but no one seems to care. And we have an anonymous donor. I can't name the person, but I will thank him. That's okay, I can say that, for his generous donations, because when our memberships haven't been able to cover some of these expenses, these people have come through. Oh, I do want to thank also Dr. Glenn Borkert. He made a donation just last week. So you can do that, and you can go to our website and do that. Again, I'll show you some of the expenses that we have. So there's nothing we're here to hide. My time obviously is free. So I want to thank those people. And I'm sure there's some other people who have come through. I've asked some people to pay their membership at times again, and people have come through. And I just want to thank everybody for that, because without that, we're done. Our organization doesn't exist. So here's the software that we incorporated in September and October. It's called Buddy Boss. Look it up. It's basically doing a lot of stuff that I wanted to do, and I was writing custom in PHP. I said, somebody's going to make a business out of it, and sure enough, they did. So we got the Buddy Boss, and we also had the Buddy Boss plugins, the media plugin, the wall plugin. Every time we get one of these Buddy Bosses, I don't know, $300 a year or something like that, the media, Buddy Boss Media is so much per year, et cetera, et cetera. I'll show you some of those costs in general. We also have MemberPress membership plugin. That's the new one now. If you go to our membership page, and it has all those categories. Like, again, I really hope that some of you can pay $5, $10, $25 a month, maybe even more per month, to keep things going. We are literally, after we paid our bills in December, we're down to $300 in the bank. We had some memberships and a donation come through. That's where we are, folks. We can't survive on that. And so if you are enjoying this and you are here and you haven't done that, and someday you come back and no one's around and our websites are down and it doesn't exist anymore, you'll know why. Because I'm not, if I were a wealthy person, I would certainly help out. But, I put enough time into it and I put money into it, my wife would slit my throat. So can't do that. We also have LearnDash, which is for online courses. Again, this was all in September, October, where I got people and convinced them that this stuff is good and that we should do it. And again, those people you saw before ponied up and sent some money this way, and we spent a couple $1,000s getting things going, and thanks to these people for doing that. And here's our expenses. Our yearly hosting is on InMotion for about $700. That's pretty good. I mean, that's less than $100 a month, and this is our own dedicated server. If you are a software engineer, yes, I can putty my way into that. I can get on the server and type right in that server. The entire server is under our control, and with that, that allows us to do a lot of things. It's not the best. We can't host a lot as much as I'd like to, but I myself have my own server. I pay $100 a month. That's a month. So that's $2,100 a year to have all the websites that I have. So that's an expense. The Buddy Boss subscriptions are around $1,000 some. I won't break it down for you. I didn't really put that together necessarily, but that's more or less what that costs yearly. We have a server security against hacking. Now, we were hacked for probably about 3 years. Anonymous from Brazil was lurking in and using our web server as a place to put out spam. I tried my darndest. The people who were hosting us tried their darndest to get them off. It was really, really hard. That's why when you see things about our website or mail that comes through our domain names get sometimes marked and flagged as dangerous. Well, no, those people who want to live this idea that we're dangerous because of our dissident work, no, it would be nice. That does happen in some places, at least cancellation on the internet of people laughing at anything that's against mainstream. But no, the server security software we pay yearly, which I think is about $200. And basically what they do is they sit on your server and they watch like a hawk, so that nobody can come in and take it over. Now, they probably got in through SQL injection. If you know about that, that's where you can write commands. I did not have the security tight at all, so I think that's how they got in. And now, even if they get in, they can be found and removed. We pay for that. So there's another expense. Carbonite backup, what's that? Well, it turns out that everything on our host is backed up, but unless you pay a lot more money, you're going to get a backup. We can pay a one-time fee, and what I do is I back it up to my own computer. So the hosting databases, like, all of these websites are databases with an interface, right? That's what they are. So I bring those databases to my computer, and that my computer then puts it to Carbonite. Carbonite is the idea is like a carbon copy, and it keeps all the software that I bring to my computer. Then it get automatically. I don't do anything, and my computer stays on all day pretty much. And it goes and it backs up all that stuff. And there is more, and I actually find that out because I try to do things. Once in a while, do a subscription that I don't know about, and unfortunately, the way subscriptions go. How you'll get a bill. I got one of those. In fact, it's $200, and I got, oh my gosh, I had done something for like this broadcasting is going live to it's going to 2 YouTube pages and Facebook. There's a service that that I paid one time to get us to broadcast in different directions. We don't need that anymore. That's been, incorporated into like StreamYard, for instance. And so we did that, but I came and I explained to them. They saw that we didn't use it at all, and luckily we didn't have to pay for that, even though they were charged. So I have to watch very carefully our bank account to see when we get charged, what we're getting charged. Then our monthly fees are MailChimp is $20, I think. Again, don't quote me on. They're $20, $30, all of these things. MailChimp is our subscription-based, old-style email, um, uh, our email newsletter kind of thing that you see that we send out, and we can, we have, I think it's sending out live to about 880 people right now. We have more than that, but with time, we have a lot of older people who have gone, unfortunately, and a lot of emails that are really old, so those things get eventually removed. But we do have people coming in, so if you haven't subscribed to our email, go to our webpage, naphilosophy.org. Go there, type in your email and subscribe, and you'll get the alerts for, especially I use them mostly for this. I would like to do more of that, but we need more help. I can't do it all, folks, but we'll talk about that as well. So this gives you an idea of StreamYard. And Adobe, what's Adobe? Well, the thing is all these graphics that you see, all those things that you notice, like the bumpers and all those kinds of things, they require graphics. And graphics programs, I used to have one for it was about $300 just for me, and that was my own. And I couldn't do that anymore. I can't justify it for all the expenses. So I think for Adobe, I use my daughter who's in school, and we get a really good rate, and that allows me to use all of Adobe suites for graphics, both 2D, 3D, and also video editing. So that's an expense. I figure all the work I do, at least we could, this organization can help out with that. So believe me, looking good and being neat and organized, it certainly helps people. A professional look is very important. So those are our expenses. And now what for 2021 before we open this up? And hopefully I see people there that are going to, I should shake my tree there in the green room. So I'm glad. Again, if you want to come on live and talk, I especially would encourage you if you are a longtime CNPS or MPA member, go to live.naturalphilosophy.org. How does that work? Well, live.naturalphilosophy.org is in a browser. If you are on your own computer, that browser will bring you up to the page for StreamYard. And even if you're on your phone, you can do it. And that is just, I change that every time because it's our own server. I have the ability to make these. And that's why you hear Franklin Hugh, well, it's not working this week. Well, why? Because David de Hilster, when he made the broadcast, which then gives you this really strange URL, I forgot to go to the website, log in as administrator, go paste it into the subdomain. These things don't happen automatically, folks. So now you know why. So next time you see that, and I know Franklin has been filling in for me. He's been doing this for 2 years. Franklin can now say, oh, Dave forgot to paste in the latest URL in the live subdomain. There you go. So anyways, again, thanks to Franklin, who has been keeping this alive for many years. Decided to let him have a break for a while. Believe me, it's great. You can do this for so long until you go, I need a Saturday. So let's talk about 2021. The big goals. Excuse me. Basically, two big goals. To do our Chappelle University for real. That's going to happen this year. Absolutely. We got people lined up. People are ready for it. That's really the most important thing. And we have the software ready for it. We have LearnDash. Oh, I didn't even put that in there. Where is that? Whoops. Went the wrong way. Gosh, darn it. Sorry, folks. Here we go. Play from current slide. Go backwards. Okay. Yeah, there's another one. LearnDash. That's another one I forgot to not put in here. And that LearnDash and also the membership. My gosh. Our yearly expenses have 2 more expenses there. So LearnDash is, I think, about $200 a year, and membership is about $200 a year. So add another $400 there, folks. So, geez Louise, this is what happens when you wake up early on Saturday morning to make your slides. But that's what we have. So again, the Chappelle University, that's using LearnDash, which we are paying for, and those things are come up in October and November. We better have a couple $1,000s in the bank, so we need everybody's help with that. And then, of course, our 2021 online conference or live. That's the question that we really need to answer. And these are some of the things we're going to talk about today. Hopefully, I'll discuss with everybody. We're going to discuss the ins and outs. I'm not going to decide this by myself. And let's talk first about the Chappelle University. And we have committed instructors that have committed. It's better to say that linguistically than committed instructors, because then you can think that they've been committed. That's sort of implication to be committed to an insane asylum, and these people are far from it. Maybe Dave de Hilster maybe needs to go there, but instructors that have been committed. Dr. James Maxlow, we're going to be working with him. He's going to be putting courses in expansion tectonics. That's going to be absolutely fabulous. Dr. Glenn Borker talking about, especially about infinity and his 10, 12. What did I just add to? A Glenn Borker. I'm going to add to. I know you watch these videos, so I'm going to add two to them. I haven't told you. No, I haven't told you what, but no, he has 10 assumptions of science. He's been also very agreeable and wants to put a lot of these people are at part of their career. They've written their books, and now I said, hey, the next step is to teach. We have that. You can see my university was founded in 2008. Now we're in 2021, and we don't have a course yet, but actually we are working on those. And Bob and de Hilster and David de Hilster, we also decided we're going to put some things in the course there. I'd like to do one on dissidence. I just again, if I can clone myself, that would be great. Then I could have more time, but I do want to put together at least an introductory course on dissident science. So, you can take that and say, no, I know a lot about dissident science. People I'd love to have is Nick Percival, which I see him in the green room here, which, Nick, you're going to do this. You have no choice. But the software, he knows a lot about software as well. LearnDash, again, is a professional subscription-based software that you make really great courses. They have quizzes. It has everything. It has everything. And we have that. I'm still debating on whether or not to make it its own website, university.naturalphilosophy.org, and have it all sort of hosted on its own completely different website. Again, I just need help. It'd be great to get somebody who knows websites to actually help out with this stuff. Dr. Bill Lucas, I'd love to have you do a course in what your work you've done over the years. I would really love to have you do this. And I don't have time, and I'm not sure other people have time to do it for you, unfortunately. I'd love to have, some millionaire come along and pump money into this whole thing and be able to have, the resources. Who knows, someday we'll get the sympathetic ear of a person with a lot of money. But Dr. Bill Lucas, love to have you guys. Again, you're going to have to put the courses together yourself. It's really easy to do online. The good thing is, with LearnDash, you don't have to write it down on paper and do all this stuff. You can literally design it online, and that's what you should do. So you should go in there, and then you keep adding courses and quizzes and all that. You can test it out and build as you go. That's the way it works. The world. Stephen Hurrell, for his work with dinosaurs and all that kind of stuff. I think that would be really fascinating for him to do a course on that and show people how these creatures could not survive, and calculations, all kinds of stuff. Stephen Bryant's another person who he will be presenting. I got an email from him this week saying he will be coming on. He wrote a really fantastic book called Disrupting Physics. He's a great speaker, great communicator, so I'd love to have him, and many more. And if you are out there going, I want to, and let me say this, if you have your own theory, your own model, we welcome you to make a course in it. We welcome you to teach people what you know and you think is right about the world. The rule is, folks, let everybody do their work if they're decent and nice to each other, and again, I'm talking about we've not a troll kind of person that are out there F-bombing things. We're not going to have YouTube videos. I know there's people out there, won't name them, but I mean, if you go to their video, you can't get through it without them just condescending and just going after people just in such a demeaning way. No, we're not going to have those kinds of people, so we have so many great people. So again, if you are interested, you've written your stuff, you've been around, don't know what the next step is, it'd be great to have Chappelle University people having courses. And again, if you're just a general person, you don't have your own theory, we can also have it so that You can help come up with a general course, on dissident science and the people in dissident science, or problems with the Big Bang. So we welcome everybody and anybody's help on this, so that people could come to our university and take courses. Who knows? That may eventually could turn into a real brick and mortar university. So that's possible. Um, so the online conference or live, COVID, will that still be around? Predictions, at least here in the United States, is that peak's going to be March. And if peak's March, it's not going to be the case that 3 months later everything's going to be hunky dory. So will it still be around? We may not have a choice again, and we may then do it online. If we do it in person, we decide, will we get enough participants with everything going on and travel restrictions and all that. Right now, it looks more online than it would be in person. And we've done them online for. I mean, we've done it in person for quite a while. And when we did them in person, we did stream online live to the YouTube and Facebook, which was very popular and worked out quite well. But has the world changed? Has it become a place where people are just less willing to travel? I mean, in income inequality, where all the money, people aren't being able to advance their careers. I mean, I'm a professional in my area. I'm a very, very professional person in software, and I had the same salary for about 12, no, 16, 17 years. So it's not the same as it was when the NPA was around in the 1990s. I mean, healthcare has gone. I mean, expenses are ridiculous. Like, we have healthcare in the United States; it's terrible. I've had it through companies, and it's worthless. I mean, your deductible's so high, you have to pay everything. Why am I talking about this? Well, these are the real world problems that people are facing. They used to have more money than they had. They could travel more. So the whole thing has it changed? Has it come to a point where now, maybe we are getting so many online tools like this, StreamYard. Maybe it just makes more sense. One of the things that happened with our conference, to sort of kick this off before we get to discussing, but one of the things that happened with our online conference for our software company, well, LexisNexis, was that we had the ability to have a lot more people participate. They used to have, for instance, we have a group of maybe 20 or 30 people in the supercomputing group. They used to have just a small group go on these retreats, and they really thought about the next 5 years, what's going on. Well, this year they opened it up online to everyone, and so you get that ability to do that. People are doing it more. Right where I sit is where I work. My boss works literally. My boss is in Cork, Ireland, and this is the way the world's working. Maybe it's just in-person conferences, as much as I love them myself, it may just be something that is not even as good as it could be if it was online, because we could have way more participants, even way more money. One of the things that has been hard on us financially is that our conferences generate money. That when people publish the proceedings, they have to pay for those pages to be published, and we can still do this and have the books. So that we can discuss as well. So, anyways, I think that's a possibility. And what I'm going to do now, I believe that's my last slide. Oh no, it isn't. Thank goodness I look at my own slides. So the two things we're going to talk about really are the university is going to happen. So we don't really need to discuss that. Conference, we don't know. Online, I think it's more likely going to be, but I want to talk to everybody about it, because I've gotten emails from the people who have been going to the in-person conferences, and they are all wanting the in-person conference. We had a pretty loyal group of about 10 to 15 people from around the world that were coming to them. So we still have to put it up, because some members like that. And but the other one then, of course, the university and the conference. But the other thing is we need to have more people involved. Now, as a leader, I need to do better. I've been doing things because I've been so busy myself. Professionally, last year, 2020 was my best year, and I expect 2020 to even be better. I myself have been working with a friend on some technology that we're trying to use, and It's a great new technology. You can check out my bio on naturalphilosophy.org, and but again, I'm not here pushing anything. I'm just saying that it's been a lot for me. And then my dad and I are coming out with a book, and when you name it, you know. Principia Mathematica 2. Well, we didn't name it. Somebody else did. They looked at the book and gave it that title. Obviously, we've been busy myself. But I need to get more people involved. And that's what I'm going to do this year. We're going to have committee meetings. And if people don't help, folks, people come to this and everybody sits there and complains, or they have this, or they argue about stuff. If you're not supporting this, it's not going to exist. We're not supported by the universities or politicians or any people. Neil deGrasse Tyson, an entertainer, he's not even a scientist, are out there laughs. He can't even answer a question about relativity being wrong because he laughs. We need your help. So we need some more committees. And what I plan to do is to have, especially for the university, we will, starting this month, have our first meeting, online meeting for our university software. And I want to ask people also in our group, should we do that live? There's, people say, no, but no, if we come here and only allow those people, I can control everything. Right now, I can say, I can take Franklin Hu and throw him in the trash can, even though I won't do that because he's in our green room and we have control over that. So should we do our committee meetings online because you get more people interested, right? I mean, I'm one of those people. I'm open source. My friend and I invented a new computer language for natural language processing. It allows people to write computer languages to mimic people who are human readers and the knowledge that they have to read things and have computers read just like human beings. We have that, and it's open source. We have all of that given to the world, and so should we become more like that in our even in our committee meetings? So these are some of the things that we want to talk about first. But so I want to open it up and to anybody. So if you're in the green room, and I'll watch the comments here. Hey, Stephen Bryant is here. A shout out to Stephen Bryant. And Stephen, come on board. I'd like to talk with you. Again, all of you guys who've come here in the green room, there's that live.naturalphilosophy.org. We have 10 places that we can have. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. We got 6 people in the green room. We have room for a number of people more. I think up to 10. So let's discuss. So if you're in the green room, and our first topic is, should we go live or virtual? And here's Stephen Bryant, who has his book. I think maybe he's come out with a new edition. I don't remember, but we're going to have him on. Love Stephen. Love talking with him. Super brilliant mind. He says last week's AI and ML conference was online, and I think nicely done. So I think online is going to be around for a while. Yeah, I do too. We had our I have talks. You can even go to it. Oh, Steve, we're gonna have to talk about it. I've got some new open source software that our company's going to use to make a lot of money. So you may it's in the area of AI. So, anyways, sorry about that, but that's one person's input. So, anybody's raised their hand, want to talk about that? Okay, I'm going to add to a stream a Franklin. And so Franklin, hello and happy new year to you. You are muted still.
There we go. I think that's one of the classic boo-boos with 2020 reviews. People still on mute. Right?
Yeah. So happy new year to you. And again, thanks so much for everything you've done over the years. Greatly appreciated.
Well, as far as the conferences go, I'm not sure we're going to have much of a choice, because I think that maybe people might get vaccinated in general by June, and then it will still take some time for the cases to drop off to the point where people are comfortable with going places, probably. So maybe 2022 we can have live conferences. Probably 2021 it's probably still going to be pretty dicey.
Yeah, I think so. How's COVID doing in your area? You're up in Washington area, right?
In Washington, I think we've said we've been flattening the curves, but I really don't understand how everyone, literally hundreds of people still catch COVID per day. And it's like, I see 100% compliance with masks. So.
Yeah, I knew one thing I do want to say to people, we're not going to discuss COVID science, because if we get into that, we'll get off. We got a lot of things but I mean, some of the real stats are one in 1,000 Americans have died. One in every thousand have died of COVID. Second is one in every 10 have gotten COVID. So that's quite amazing. So yeah, I think that's a tendency for us. I sort of agree. I think it may be not the choice. I agree with your timelines. I think it's going to take a lot longer than people think for these things to roll out. If the peak's
Yeah,
going
I
to hit
think
March,
2021 is going to be another dumpster fire, is what's going to happen. So
that what a wonderful analogy we have. So
I
one
don't know
vote
where
for
this
dumpster
term
fire.
dumpster fire came from, but it's definitely been applied to 2020. So
Yeah, yeah, for sure, for sure. Although for 2020 was a really good year for me and my family, some people it was really, really, really hard. We know a lot of families have been through a lot. So, okay, so yeah, that's your vote for that. Anybody
yeah,
else in the green room? Green
so
room?
probably it's kind of probably going to be online if we do it at all.
Yeah.
Although I think you've been doing a pretty good job of bringing on speakers for the past few months. That's kind of been like a conference kind of thing.
Yeah,
So,
yeah. I think one of the things we can do, Franklin, and then my dad has also suggested that, is that we would set my idea would we would set the conference date. Let's maybe assume maybe it's probably most likely going to be online, probably will, and then have people then submit papers, and then have it so that everybody has in hand the conference, and then to have people be able to attend a conference in a more, how do you say, a block time, right? So we'd have maybe 4 or 5 days where we really would be going all day. And I think one of the good things about that is that you really get a chance to, and then have discussions, maybe even have discussions that we could have, just like we did at the Rio conferences, right? So people, we could have break time, and in the breaks we could have people discuss certain things. But we'll have to look into all that to do that and pull that off. I think that's going to be something we'll need to do. But
yeah, we
okay,
could still do the whole publish, ask for papers, publish things. But
right,
the thing about the live conference is that you become a captive audience, and that during my normal work thing, it's like I would never spend 8 hours a day
right,
just looking at science stuff. Literally, that's why you
right.
take vacation days, and you can literally spend all day, and you don't mind doing that. But during online conferences, people will be more tendency to just kind of do it
Right.
when they have some spare time, which might not be that much.
Yeah. Yeah.
That's what disadvantage.
Well, I think what it is, there's two things, Franklin. You have that problem where people are going to drift away, or there'll something will happen. They won't go to it. But if you go to the on in-person conference, it happens too. Especially when the MPA was large and we had breakout rooms, people would go, they just, there's nothing I'm interested in, and they just hang out and talk with somebody. That's the harder part to sort of to get online. How do you have it so that people can break out and talk to each other? Is there something we could do and find some software? I think even by then there'll probably be services out there that will allow a conference, and the conference will have like breakout rooms, so that if you and so want to talk about something like you do at a regular conference, then that would happen. And the other thing is, though, too, is having it online, you have way more people that can participate, right? You can have way more people participate. Whereas if it's not online, having people go through all the expenses, you're talking about minimum $500, unless you live local to the area, you're flying in and all that. You're lucky if you can keep under $1,000 for something like that. So, um, okay, let's see if anybody else wants to come in here and talk. I know we have Nick Percival, you're there. We also have James Keene. Did you want to say anything about the conference itself, James? You can shake your head. No, yes. No, he does not. We have Tom Anderson, but I can't see these people. Let's see. Do we have some other things? Oh, there's Nick Percival. Hey, Nick. Let me bring in Nick here. Hey, Nick, how are you?
David, I'm great. I'm in favor of the online conference. I see it sort of as a natural extension of what you've done for about 20 years. It used to be that a dissident, a lone dissident, would just be ignored. There was no
Right.
problem. You were voiceless, basically, unless you were already a physics celebrity, and then they could always fire you and make you into a nobody again. So you and Greg did a fantastic job for decades of first bringing us online and now into social media. And I see online conference as being a continuation of opening up our group to the world
Right.
and having much broader participation. So that's my vote. And of course, I'm biased because right now I virtually live on the internet rather than in Connecticut.
Okay.
So
All
much
right.
appreciation. That's all I have for now.
Okay. 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 All right. Thank you very much, Nick. And we'll be bringing people back on to talk about other things. So I know Tom Anderson is there. Let me look in the private chats. I know private chats. I see people going there. Bob Gray. Blah blah blah. James. So if you are Tom Anderson, Bob Gray, James Keene, if you, I just want to close this down. If anybody else has any input, but it sounds like right now it doesn't sound like anything other than that's going to be online. I think my biggest concern with the online, the good news is we can get a lot more people there. That's for sure. You know. Tom Anderson says online sounds great, and I think people are so into it. The good thing too about COVID is being online. People are much more prepared. People who didn't have ability to do Zoom or didn't have ear gear or a nice microphone or a nice camera or anything like that. That is now. So many people are geared up to be able to do online, so that's the good thing. The only thing I would see is obviously doing a block about it, and having us be able to do more breakout sessions. If that's, I don't think we need breakout sessions when you have online, but at least some areas for discussion. It would be great. I think what we would have to do most likely is have speakers lined up, and you only can speak. I think we'd have to make a rule. I think a very simple rule. You cannot speak unless it's accompanied by a formal paper and abstract. I think that would make total sense. And that way we wouldn't just allow anybody to speak who wants to speak. And a person who would speak, we would require them to pay their page fee. Now, all of these things you can see. Let me grab some of this stuff back here. Oh yeah, here's 2017, 2016 proceedings, right here. You can see this is 2016. This was in College Park. These are the formal papers. They are available online, by the way. You can buy them online. I think they're available on Amazon, actually. Not sure, but the idea would be maybe to have well, I'm thinking the way to do it is every speaker has to write a paper. Every speaker has to pay the page fees. Those page fees are one of probably our biggest moneymaker. Now, I know that sounds trite and stuff, but I guess the way you put it, we can put it as if you're serious about your work, if you're serious about doing and getting it out, and serious about it being seriously taken, then paying a page fee. I think it's like $10 or $15 a page, and then if you go past a number of pages, and we do have some people publish whole books. We've had people pay thousands of dollars, and that's really the conference is where our bank account goes from barely squeaking by to at least something in the bank to keep that going. So I think with an online conference, it would be probably interesting to do it that way. So every speaker's got to have a paper. And then the other thing would be is to have breakout sessions for discussions on topics. So we would have maybe one on expansion tectonics, another on structures, and then to have breaks so that the people in the breaks could talk about specific subjects. Now, it'd be really great for us to find some software. And the other thing too would be to register for the conference. We would require a registration for the conference if you want to talk. Yeah, it'll be open to the public, but at least we would say, hey, folks, I think before it was like a registration fee of about $50 or something like that. But we'd have to see what that would be. Again, these are the things. And of course, if you support this, folks, even if you're on a fixed income and Social Security, I mean, it doesn't, and this is an important part of your life, especially, then I think this is not much to ask. So, oh, my sound is too low. Okay. Let me. Is this better now? People in the. Thank you for telling me. Any people let me know because usually I'm too loud because my voice is a projecting voice. So hopefully that'll work better. But I'm thinking that's the way we could do that. And we would be able to really put together a block of time and do it during the day during a block of time. I know with me, I take my vacation days. I have a bunch of vacation days, so I'll take those vacation days off, and we could then do that. We could be well prepared. I think it would probably be better to have it a little bit later, so we would have time to prepare and get people the ability to have time to write their papers and do all that. We do have, that's another thing I didn't put there. Gosh darn it. I'm just going to go there. And all these expenses I didn't remember. We have a monthly fee of $30 for Overleaf. Overleaf is our way that we publish our papers. So that's $30 a month. Caramba. Folks, remember, please, get a membership paid if you can do it monthly. We got that new on our website. Check out our website, naturalphilosophy.org. We really do need it. My gosh, now I'm remembering. Those are well over $100 a month, not including all this other stuff. So please, I ask you about helping out with that. Yeah, I think that I'm starting to get in my head these ideas. So the idea would be there would be a registration fee. Everybody who talks has to pay that. Everybody who talks has to have a paper in the proceedings. That has to be a formal paper. It's got to be accepted. Also, then people would receive the book. The good thing about this book and publishing, we go through Lulu Publishing, and the good thing is these things will literally come in. You can have it literally about 10 days before the conference and have the last paper go in and still have it. But at that time, what we would it'd be a little different. Actually, we would probably have to do that ahead of time because everybody should get their book and have that in front of them for the conference. So that would be really important to do as well, having the book so that they can read it ahead of time. So most likely we'd have to change that a little bit because at the conference, just having them in the book at the paper and in-person conferences was really good. So I'm thinking to myself, maybe we would just do it so get it a month ahead of time so people could get it a month ahead of time and then read it, especially those who aren't giving papers, to be able to read them and be able to have the person present and talk. And then the presentations would have obviously discussions as well. So yeah, I'm starting to get an idea of how this could work. And this is that's one of the hard things that was this year. The monies that I had to get from people who are doing the donations, a couple $1,000s from people pitching in there as a separate kind of thing. That wouldn't have to happen as much if we were to have those conference, because that does make some money. Okay. Now let's get to the committees and helping out. Now, obviously, as a leader, I put the blame on me for not really taking the time to get people involved. But I see sort of a couple of things, and I have one debate. I think one thing that could really open it up. I know Nick Percival. Again, if you are I've got the private chat. So let's see. Tom Anderson was saying in the private chat, perhaps every evening for 2 hours is better than a 9 to 5 format. Yeah, it is. It could be. We could stretch it out for a time. Actually, I know. Again, he's in the green room. That chat's not available, but maybe that could be something like that. I think it'd have to be more than that. I don't think that's enough time at all, and we'll have to think about that. But I think we're going to have to do a committee on that and have people come together. Tom Anderson, you're in. Were you able to come on and discuss anything about that? I'm going to try to bring him on. If he says no, then that's fine. So Tom, I know you don't have video. Do you have a microphone, Tom, that you can unmute if you're there? Hello. Dead air time. You don't want to have that. Or maybe he walked away. Thanks. Just wanted to comment. Okay, that's no problem. So that's cool. But if you're in the green room again, please come by and talk. Ian, you're there. I'd like to get maybe your opinion on the format. I think I've got a lot of good ideas about how we could actually do it. With papers and presentations and fees. That's not so hard. But what let's brainstorm a little bit. Would you think it would be better tried to be drawn out? I think 2 hours a night's probably not enough because you have people to speak. I mean, what I know this is like on the top of your head, but what would you think? Spreading it out or during the day where people have to take the time off? I mean, what's on the top of your head on that?
Well, David, I've been giving it a little thought as you're talking. And in fact, incidentally, as you probably see, the private chat has been used as a means of maybe exchanging some ideas. So I've also been thinking, of the value of, I suppose, a physical conference. I know it's probably going to be very unlikely this year and so on, but and I've never attended one myself, and I was sort of, making some sort of resolution perhaps to travel across the Atlantic and attend one. So I might rule out the possibility and even the desirability in the future of having a physical conference. And, as regards Tom's comment there, obviously I just thought initially that even if you did have a couple of hours for your evening, it would be midnight here or something like that.
Yes.
Around midnight every night. So it would be, and it would be worse for Australia.
Right.
So that's a problem. And it had been mentioned earlier, David, that there's a value in sort of devoting an uninterrupted amount of time.
Right.
Franklin said this, didn't he?
Yeah.
I mean, I even had to go out for 5 minutes there a moment ago, but I'd probably restrict myself, where it's a more formal circumstance. So I'm looking at all the possibilities. And,
Right.
I've obviously, like most of you, I'm sure I've attended a few of these meetings over the lockdown period. They're thinking of closing a lot of roads here to public transport. The opposite, only allowing public transport to go through major roads, and they'd have to divert private motor cars and so on. So we had a meeting the other evening with the residents people and one of the parliamentary representatives. But it was a bit unsatisfactory. I would have preferred something face to face. It's just my nature. Maybe I'm a bit old fashioned. So I would perhaps a plea is not to dismiss the possibility of getting together in some other form.
Yeah. Boy, I hit the wrong button here and pulled myself out. But you know what I think? I think you're bringing up some interesting points I really think of, and I should have, is number one is the time of day really matters. One of the reasons that 10 a.m. works is because with Earth expansion, the Pacific expanded way more. And if you can shove that space into the place where most people don't live, that at least allows some time there for people around the world to be able to participate. And most of our participants do reside, unfortunately, there's quite a few also in Australia, but since the population is smaller, that's the only people that really would get dinged. But the United States and Europe by far is where almost our majority of our people are. So it really would have to be able to mesh with them. And I think having it, and then you have the West Coast. So you still got to stretch from the West Coast. So the time of day is super important when you do this. So I think you're right. I also think also too, Franklin's point and your point, and I'm thinking the same thing. When you do a blocks of time, you do take time to dedicate it. I will take the time off as vacation time. And, then you really are into that. And like Franklin is right. When you're at the conference, what's one of the great things about it, and you haven't been there, is you can, you're there. there's no one to perturb you. You don't have your family around perturbing you. You don't have, distractions from your regular life. You're really in a almost like a that's why people get hooked on them. You're in a fantasy world where you can just talk about physics and cosmology and science and be with like-minded people. You can talk to your friends and they just look at you like you're nuts, or they just don't understand. And one of the biggest comments I've gotten over the last couple decades from the working with the conference is, this is what I hear from people. They come up to this, Dave, I never came to these, but when I talk to people here, they understand what I'm saying. Because we talk in a way that other people don't understand. They don't care about whether energy is a concept or a real thing. Whereas all of us have a lot in common who are critical thinkers. So I think that's a really important part. And I'm thinking also from you, just thinking about the future, because one of the things I seem to do with my brain is see the future about where things are going. And I think that's why I've done things way ahead of even us. I mean, I put in the university 2 years ago, knowing we're going to need it. Didn't even have the right software. Now the software. So the idea is there. I think one idea that came to my head when you were talking, I think that was really good, I think it could be a great idea, is that if we could do it online now, we'll do it online this year, really work on getting more people involved. Because I will tell you, the biggest problem we've had in this organization is our generation and your generation, that's older generation, and we want to see younger people coming in. And how do you get them? Well, you don't get them today by, phone calls and newsletters typed on typewriters. And we are bringing in more people. If anybody go and you want to check that out, go to naturalphilosophy.org and click on the members. Take a look at them. Look how many people there were not ever a part of it. A majority of them are. A lot of our people haven't even registered. People who are there in our organization haven't even bothered. They don't realize this is even going on, and they get surprised by it. So what I'm thinking is going to happen, we could end up having 2 conferences. And what we could do is have, or maybe even satellite conferences, and that would be, is once we keep growing via our online and we get enough people, then we can do in-person conferences, right? And, have those available. I know Electric Universe people, they do that. They'll have a group of people who really love the Electric Universe, and in the UK, they'll have a conference in person. And so I think what can happen is the online today can get to that point again, when it becomes possible, because there are a lot of things that I love about the conference. My dad and I get on the plane together, and it's like, it's like Geek City, right? You get on there and you're going to find people and you're going to listen to people. And when you interact human to human, it's a whole different dynamic. It really is. You don't. So I really, truly agree with what you're talking about. So. Okay, I'll bring you down unless you had something else there. Anybody else in the green room want to talk? Oh, yeah, there is Bob Gray. Hey, Bob. Great to see you. Happy New Year to you. Oh, you're muted.
Okay, there we go.
Okay.
Got to get the microphone out of the way.
No problem. Happy New Year.
So for the time zone issue and online conference, would it be possible for everybody who's going to do a presentation to record the presentation? That way it's available around the world and anyone can look at it at their time zone comfort when they have a gap of time to look at it. And then somehow be able to provide the presenter feedback, comments. It wouldn't be live comments, but it would be feedback. Then maybe if there's interest, schedule a certain time with that presenter to answer live those comments or something. But the actual presentations, I don't see that there's a need to have live presentations if you're having an online conference, other than feedback, which could be done in chat rooms or a blog or something also online. Anyway, that's my 2 cents.
I think it's interesting. I mean, one of the things that people do My daughter, she watched a movie with her friends online. Basically, that would be a way to do it in some way. What could happen is that you could have it available ahead of time, but then you could have it streamed and watched by everybody also. And then maybe even have the questions there, and the people who can watch and can ask the questions, and they could even submit those. So what you could do is you could have it live, like in a regular conference, if you happen to be out of time zone, and a person would have some really good questions. I think the only thing you lose with that, with having it all recorded and everybody watch ahead of time, is you don't get that sort of reaction of those fresh thoughts you have in your head when you get that. And there is something about all of our brains listening to that person that sort of can trigger that. But that I like that idea in the sense of that could also help out with the time zones if we had those available and recorded, and then at that time, and maybe make them a little bit shorter so that you would have to read the paper, and you would have a presentation that would sort of give the person's sort of take on it, and then we have that available ahead of time so that people could, buy the book, make sure that's available all around the world, either in e-form or in regular book. Have the people be able to read that and then submit questions ahead of time, and then watch that video.
Exactly.
And I think the other thing would be is I'm thinking that make the presentation shorter. One of our problems is when we go to real in-live conferences, people want to get up there and talk for 7 hours about how they want it, what they're doing.
Sure.
And we always have a problem with people wanting to discuss, and there's never time. And the person says, if I don't say this one line on slide 79, no one will understand anything. And that's, unfortunately, that's not true. So
there's also the technical issue. You bring me up live. Okay, I'm doing my presentation. The microphone isn't in the right place. There's this, there's that. There's technical problems with going from one presenter to the next presenter. Doesn't have the same equipment. It's not using the same browser, not using the same. One's using Windows, one's using, Macs, one's using something else, and have all that goes away if you pre-record the presentations.
Right, absolutely, right. So I think that's interesting point. So no, I think these are all good ideas.
Thank you.
All right. Super good. Anybody else in the green room want to discuss about online? Any ideas people have? I'm trying to look here through there. Explaining your explanation of what the channel needs, not hater, just 2 cents. I'm going to just check here, make sure we don't have any trolling. Please alert me, folks, if you're in the chat and there are trolling going on. Okay, I do see James Keene, bring you up. How are you, James? Happy New Year to you.
Happy New Year to everybody, and to you, David. I just like to throw in some comments which may be relevant or not. So some of us, including myself, have been faculty members in university departments, and these departments are usually have seminars on a weekly basis where faculty members, graduate students, or outsiders are invited to present things. Now, one thing I'd like to throw in, and it's not a fully developed thought, I admit.
Sure,
but
we're brainstorming.
For your consideration, that maybe we should attempt to minimize the line between participants here who are so-called free thinkers and so forth, and participants in established physics departments. If you look at it, every faculty member, every research grant to NSF, every student master's or PhD thesis is attempting to question something and develop new knowledge in some area or specialty of physics. In other words, what we might call the mainstream physics community is doing and attempts to do is not really that much different than what your program here and bringing people together, which I heartily endorse and thank you for, is trying to do. So I guess I would like to sort of suggest that maybe we could attempt to somehow link more with what we're calling the mainstream physics community, where, for example, take the standard model of particle physics. You can go to any university physics department or members thereof and look up their papers and so forth, and find that almost nobody accepts this model. Yes, it's taught everywhere, but none of them really accept it as being complete. Everyone's trying to go beyond it, to extend it. And so, what we're trying to do here with the free thinkers that are featured here is not really that different from what's going on in what we're calling the mainstream. So, somehow, again, my thought is not fully developed, it's just a seed, is maybe we should think about ways to bridge the gap between these mainstream people, the students and faculty in established physics departments. Like, for example, one idea which may be a little bit crazy or unpractical might be, and I'll close with this, is perhaps David and company and the associated websites of natural philosophy and so forth might be actively contacting physics departments in the regions where members of our group here in CNPS reside, offering CNPS members as speakers at these weekly or monthly seminars, which occur in all physics departments.
Yeah, but I think
End
the
of
big
story.
yeah, no, I think it's an idea. I think it's tried many times. Actually, John Chappelle. We have a video. If you go to our, if anybody here goes to our, I don't know if you've seen it, James, but you go to our YouTube channel. I got some videos which I've digitized. One of them was from John Chappelle. He had literally a person from the university arguing with a person about special relativity. And it's the hard part really is to get them to do something because they have reputations and they don't want to be seen, with us, unfortunately. So I think one of the things I'm thinking though, James, is that maybe the university courses that we put out there, think of it this way. The way I would look at it is the university courses that we put out there, if they're really done nicely like courses and they're using professional course software, which we have, and someone comes to it, a young person, like for instance, the guy from, I can't remember his name now, my dad would be able to tell me, anybody in the chat will remind me, the guy from Nigeria. He is teaching a lot of his younger colleagues in Nigeria about being critical thinkers and to take a look at work like this. And if they have courses, if people around the world have courses in this, they're going to say, hey, take a look at this and learn about this. For instance, expansion tectonics, right? Where can you go and do that? If you ask James Maxlow if he would be able to give a talk in any university there, he's going to just probably laugh both of us off the stage. So what I'm thinking though, what you're saying is we could focus on what we're doing maybe in the university kind of courses to make sure they're rigorous in the way that a person who would be maybe a teacher who wants to teach critical thinker would not have a problem of saying, hey, I want you to take a look at this course online about the problems with the Big Bang, and we would sell that in a way just like a person that if you were in the university or allowed to do that you could do that. But, to have and contact universities, I mean, we could try. I don't know if people are open-minded. Maybe they are today. Maybe things have changed so much that even the younger people, usually young people get out of the university, they leave a university because they look at particle physics, see how ridiculous it is, or quantum mechanics, and they say, I'm out of here. I'm going to do practical stuff. I don't want to even know what they're doing. So, but, if we can somehow do that I mean, it's an idea. I don't know. Maybe I'm just worried. Go ahead.
Maybe an email. Sorry to jump in on you, Dave.
No problem.
Maybe an email or a letter to certain physics departments, excuse me, which are located near where we would have speakers. And many of the people who participate here have what you might call mainstream credentials, PhDs in physics and mathematics. I can think of Dennis Allen, Lucas. I mean, uh, Bob Gray is a very competent. I mean, and Ian Cohen, et cetera, et cetera. These individuals and the letter or email to physics departments, it's come to our attention that that you have occasional seminars. We have some speakers who are questioning certain theoretical approaches which are conventionally accepted in the textbooks, just as your department does. The people in your physics department have people who are questioning these theories also. So perhaps it might be beneficial, and we're offering speakers who essentially are doing the same thing, uh, uh, exploring new avenues of thought in physics as your own students and faculty members in your department. In other words, a kind of a approach that is to say we're on the same team. Actually,
Right.
we're
Understood. Yeah.
you aren't so different from us.
Right.
You
Right.
see the point.
Yeah, I see it. I see it.
I realize the way I'm vocalizing this is may sound a little bit vague, but the constant, we are the free thinkers and they are not. I think is a false premise to put it
No, no,
bluntly.
sure. Okay,
That
okay.
actually every student, graduate student, master student, and even undergraduate physics students um, want to explore how this universe works, and they are questioning what's
Sure.
being presented in textbooks. And so, in other words, there's a common ground between all of them and us who happen to have gathered here.
Right.
And
Right. Okay.
and a point. I think I'm repeating myself now, so I'll
Okay. Okay.
sign off.
Okay.
Thank you for the moment.
No problem. I think that's something to do. You know what I've thought about, and Steve Bryant, you're there. TED Talks. I've actually did a mock TED Talk on expansion tectonics. I really did. I put the audience, and it was just audio. TED Talks we could get out there. Now, here's a comment from Steve Bryant. He's saying regarding the last comment, he said the presentations were recorded at his conference, and they were delivered there. Delivered there was a live Q&A with the moderated questions too. So that was sort of in the same idea that I was saying that I think someone else was talking about having them recorded than having people look at them in the time zones. I'm sorry, I think it's maybe Ian said that. This is another comment. I want to make sure we get people's comments because I appreciate everybody online too. Thank you everybody for watching, and thanks to Dissident Science people. I know this is very different, but I think it gives you a good look into the real world of real dissidents here. So I appreciate all my Dissident Science subscribers tuning in today. Also, the conference could go YouTube so get more subscribers to Chappelle. Absolutely, that's what we're trying to do now, and that is happening. If no one's noticed, I've got actually on my watch. Literally, that right now, let's say I've got 3,550 subscribers. My dad's got 399 subscribers. And I believe the Chappelle has almost, how many does it have? 766. We have almost 1,000 subscribers. And when I started this endeavor, we had 120. And it wasn't growing. So, so that's absolutely great. Let's see what he says. I agree with James. I think that was the last speaker, but I believe that techniques to this approach them as peers rather than as adversaries. I wonder how many doors John might open. I mean, again, I don't think that's a problem, but I sort of... unfortunately, what I learned with my movie, my documentary, Einstein Wrong, haven't gone see that, EinsteinWrong.com. Take a look at it. It does cost $3 a rent. The reason is that's how we keep it available online for you to watch. But during my documentary, one of the things I noticed, I came up with this, what I call the dead soldier syndrome. And what happens is if you go, one of the things where people are saying to me, you got to change the title. Einstein Wrong is not a good title. People are going to be turned off of it. Well, you want people to notice you. If somebody said, goodbye, Einstein, hello, new science. I mean, here's what happened when I was doing the interview. I did an interview with Einstein's friend. His name was Jack Rosen somebody. And he was a friend of Einstein's. He was in his 80s. Richard Borland, don't go away. I'm bringing you up. I do know you want to say some things. Let me just finish this thought. Well, it turned out that I pre-interviewed him, and then I interviewed him on camera. I didn't tell him the name of what we're doing. And he was, telling me all these amazing stories about Einstein, and it was really quite amazing. But of course, when he saw this title, Einstein Wrong, he tore it up. Well, what I also found when I tried to approach people with the idea that relativity wrong, and I would word it in that sense, no, we're looking at relativity and its problems and what maybe we could do to solve some of those problems. And then they would ask you, are you saying Einstein's wrong? I said, well, we're looking at new alternatives. And they would continually back me into a corner unfortunately, they're not stupid. What happens is they will, no matter how you sell it to them, they end up saying, well, what do you mean you don't believe there's a Big Bang? The Big Bang's proven. So I understand what everybody's saying, but it turns out that if you go to a door if you are the government, you have to go to a door and there's a mother behind that door and you have to knock on that door and tell them their son has died. Now you can deliver that in any way you want. You could come with flowers, you could come with sympathy, you could come with bowed heads, you can bring your friends that know him, who are crying and very wonderful. You think that mom's not going to cry? You think that the shock of that death's not going to shock them? It turns out that no matter what we do, we are questioning the big things in science. Unless there really has been a sea change in the students themselves, it's really hard. No matter what you do, they back you into a corner to say, well, are you saying the Big Bang's wrong? And then at that point, you can't go any further. Well, you can say, well, no, Big Bang's one idea, but there's some other ideas that we're also looking at. And so that's one of the things I found. Now, I hope I'm absolutely wrong. I hope that maybe during these woke times where people realize that media and politicians are feeding us a bunch of malarkey and say, oh, give more rich people more money and your lives will be better. That doesn't work. We know that doesn't work. So, there could be a whole thing of this whole movement that what you guys are saying to approach, I'm all for it, but I had tried it during the last 2 decades, and all I found was the dead soldier syndrome. No matter how I packaged it and so wonderful, and was not an advertising, we're all this in together, and then we're hugging and all that stuff, and I get up in there. Here's a good example of that. Go to Alexander Unzker's YouTube page. Go to some of his videos about 5 years ago. And this is how he starts his videos. Hello, my name's Alexander Unzker. You know what topic I'm talking about today. If you do not agree with that, please get up and you may leave the room now. And you would hear chairs scraping on the floor and people leaving because they knew what he was going to talk about. So I'm all for it, and I will support it 100%. I'm just saying that I personally believe that we will create our own university, our own people, and that eventually will reach to those people automatically. If we try to go through their doors, just like politicians, you're going to go to their party here in the United States and try to change this politician to be humane to its population. Maybe you start your own party. Yeah, so I'm all for it. It could be, oh yeah, the person Rosenthal, yes. That's the person I interviewed. Okay, I'm going to bring up Richard Borland. Are you there? Hello, Richard. Okay, I'm going to bring him up. Hey, Richard.
Yeah, hi. Can you hear me?
Absolutely, and I'm sorry about that. I did see your note, and I appreciate you coming on. What's up?
Okay.
Happy New Year.
Happy New Year. Thank you very much. I remember you going back, maybe a year ago or so. I saw some of your videos, David, and I hadn't seen, I saw the live stream and just popped in, and kind of what you're talking about is kind of close to my heart in terms of, establishing, a research type of a situation that's apart from the mainstream, because I think it's completely owned by the funders, which is government or quasi-government entities, and obviously controlled and all that kind of thing. So anyway, long story short, I had I have a chemical engineering degree, but it wasn't until shortly after college that I got the numbers bug, and probably a typical, self-study, self-research, number theory, pattern recognition, etc. And a few years ago, I mean, this transformed, and I have made some startling, profound discoveries in math, and to the point where, I mean, it's kind of, long story short, I know there's that, exceptional claims require exceptional evidence, etc. But I'm to the point where I'm just being an amateur, self-taught, feral mathematician. Nobody wants to know. There's no. I always thought to myself, I'm going to discover something awesome, something great, prove my merit, and my self-sacrifice and self-drive and my results would be enough to merit, somebody to sponsor me to go back to school. But what I discovered is that nobody really wants to know. And anyway, long story short, this work that I've been working on, it's fancy. There's a lot of low-hanging fruit to the point where I actually sort of invented a similar thing to sort of what you're talking about. But the idea being is that to take this, explore it to the limits of what can be done in terms of harvesting the low-hanging fruit and securing intellectual property, algorithms, and I mean we're talking about that has impact on signal processing, encryption, logic gates, functional programming, even chip architecture and transistors, even music. But particularly, there's a lot in here over the last year that's looking an awful lot like particle physics in an odd way. So
you're working in mathematics, and
I'm penetrating into physics now.
So one of the things I would suggest, just to get this, I'd suggest if you want to give a presentation on what you've got and found, I mean, that's one of the things we can do. We can sign you up for a Saturday and have you talk about it. You would be a prime candidate too to write some papers about it. We can always help you with those kinds of things. I know, I will tell you, Peter Erickson is one of my favorite people in our group, and he talks about infinitesimals and there are no negative numbers. In physics, there are no negative numbers. Negative numbers are, the real number system has lots of problems. People don't realize that. And I've got my Bachelor of Science is in mathematics. So mathematics is really fascinating. In fact, Bob Gray made a comment in privately. But what I think we can do just to keep us on track here is, why don't you, think about putting together some ideas or whatever, and maybe doing a presentation about this for Saturday.
I would love to do that. My concern is, and I don't want to be like cheeky or avoiding. But once the cat is out of the bag, the cat is out of the bag. So I would hopefully look to explore this further initially with one or two.
Okay, that's possible because we have people here.
This or
right.
Anybody, any number theorist or mathematical physicist, if somebody would want to help me. But let me tell you what my idea is.
Really quickly, we want to do that because, yeah.
So secure some initial IP that hopefully is bang up enough to get some funding going, and then you have members who participate in research groups, and this all supports a charitable org, and snowballs from there, and it gives people in academia and people in the system an opportunity to work outside of the blocks.
Right. Okay. Well, I think that's very good. I think we've had a number of people. I know Greg Volk has worked on things like that. I know via the Electric Universe also people have gotten funding from people who are donors and ideas that could actually bring some funds in the direction of the critical thinking community. So, okay, I thank you so much for sharing your ideas and your thoughts. So thanks a lot, Richard. I appreciate it.
All right. Thank you, David.
Okay. it's great to hear from people who, look at my YouTube channel. It's greatly appreciated. A lot of those videos, one of the reasons I haven't put out a video is that they take me up to 4, 5, 6 hours to make. Write a script, put the video, edit it, that kind of thing. Those kinds of things are out there. I mean, check it out at dissidentscience.com or Dissident Science on the YouTube channel. I've got a lot of really great edited videos that are really, really like professionally done videos on a lot of topics. So anyways, I think that's, again, that's interesting in the sense of one of the one of the other things that we are looking at. I know Greg Volk has talked to me excuse me, several times in the last couple of years, is that he's been looking at the possibility of, people with money being able to push some money our way, because that would certainly help. But of course, again, us reaching out, do a TED Talk. That's one of the things we could do. Let's see what else we have here. We have people talking about the speed of light going on there. Do we have anybody? I know Bob Gray there. Bob, I don't know. You're in the private chat. If there's something, yes, please do a presentation. Bob Gray's interested in what Richard was talking about, but I guess that's he's not ready really to do that. But Bob, did you want to make any comments since you are here in the green room? That would be good, because we want to get some discussions out here, not me only talking about things. Let's see, what else do I have in the comments that we can put up here? Let's see, I did see something. People are talking about light and all the other things. Just to give people an idea where, if you haven't checked it out, go back a couple of weeks to, I did a presentation about where we are and who's doing what today in dissident science. Check it out. It's on the YouTube channel, both on my Dissident Science, on my Dissident Science subscribers. Take a look at that. Go back a few weeks. Let me see if I'll find that. I think that's a really good overview of the dissident science world where we're at, and the theories that are being developed by people. Let me see here. Which one was that called? There we go. I see it right there. This is the Survey of Critical Thinkers today. I'll show you that. If you haven't seen that, I know some of you were actually in that, but this is a really, really good video where I put together 5 models that are being worked on right now in the dissident community, and there are many, many similarities. In fact, I may go ahead and see if I can find that slide for you. But what I'm saying is, and I know we've sort of exhausted our subjects today, but let me see if I can find that. If I can find that with the PowerPoint presentation for that day. Let's see. There we go. Is that it? No. Okay, I will try to find that. But there was a really good chart I made that I'd like to find, and that in that chart I made for all the five models. It put in that chart things that were in common and things that were not in common. So I'm going to see if I can maybe find that and get that up there for you. But what I guess I'm saying is that for those people who are new, we do have people working on real models out there, doing some real things. Let me see what the date is on this. Critical thinking one was. I'm going to go to that. That was on October 24th. So if I can find the October 24th slides, I can bring those up. I'm talking my way through it, so you don't have dead air time here, right? So October, oh boy, I don't see the October 25. So let me see if I can find that. 10, 20, nope, there. Okay, I don't have that. So Anyways, oh, wait a minute. There it is. I found it. Okay. So I can bring this up. Let me share. This is something I think that we could bring up today's topics. Here we go. All right. I think this is really interesting for sort of the rounded out. We've sort of, we're talking about the year. Here we go. Slideshow from this. So here are some, here are 5 theories that I had put together for my talk. Again, if you haven't seen that, go to October 24th, both on Dissident Science and on the CNPS YouTube channels, both of those. You have the infinite universe theory, the energy wave theory, the OM particle theory with Laurie Gardie, and ether theory with Lionel Deneau, and of course our particle model. And here's what's really interesting. And if you are a person who's worked on a model or care about a model, we are making progress. And this to me is one of the probably my best chart or my best sort of thought about the where we are in the critical thinking world outside the mainstream. If you look at all of these theories, the theories are across the top. Infinite universe theory across the top. Those are the theories. The first 5, except for one thing or 2 things, are all in agreement. All of these theories are 100% Newtonian. There's no quantum mechanics. There's no weird fifth force in the universe. They're all Newtonian for everything to the subatomic, subatomic level. Light has physicality in all of these theories. No charge are in all of these theories. And we've talked about that many times. Ether is very popular. Ours is the only one that isn't in ether. And those people who claim that it is, you're wrong. Most people do understand that, but please, we got to stop that nonsense on that side, but it isn't. But lots of ether. And then 4 of us also are going off of Lionel Deneau's underwater experiments for magnetism. There's convergence here. The convergence is we live in a Newtonian world all the way up and down, and people are doing that. In the infinite universe theory and in our particle model, the 2 on each of those ends, everything in the universe is just basically force, mass hitting mass, and it can be explained. And yes, it organizes itself, all that, but that's quite amazing that all these people are saying Newtonian, all of them giving light. Gravity is also their explanation. You notice gravity only has a couple of X's. That's because they don't have people with their, how do you say, real models of these things yet. They're looking into them, but gravity, electricity, quantum level. You can see, for instance, the particle model we have. The energy wave theory has something for all of those. The energy wave theory and our particle model, my father and I's, are all the same except for ether. It's not something we're missing. It's just something we don't need. So again, we're not talking about people and their theories and their models that are how do you say? We're not in agreement. One of the things is we got a bunch of people and all the models are different. Everybody throws everything away. And this is not true. The things that are not true about the dissidents and there are no models is that we throw all physics away so we don't take into data that we can't explain. No, we explain all the data that's out there and then some. That's the idea. So, anyways, yeah, somebody said, hey, Dave, the X is construed as not. Checkmark would agree. You're so right. Hey, Duplicat, I wish I had more time in my life so I could actually do those things correctly. You're absolutely right on that. So anyways, that to me is quite, it was kind of shocking when I actually put that together. And these are really more active models that people are looking at. Models before were more like the universe was made out of donuts or toroids and those kinds of things. And they were very much more nebulous. They weren't really giving us a physicality. For instance, the electron universe is, I applaud those people. I applaud anybody thinking outside of mainstream science, but they still don't say what an electrical field is. They don't say what charge is. So it's all based on stuff that doesn't have any physicality. So the good news is in our world, we're getting people to come up with physicality, and that's really, really important. And I think that's one of the things that we're going to see in the next decade. Things are going to come together more and more. So, and we got like I said, people working on those in many different areas. Let me check here in the chats. I see the people in our green room talking to each other. And I know Richard Borland said he would like to Zoom and talk with some people. That would be great. So the other thing is too, I do see you, James Keene, have your hand up, so I will talk to you. But one of the things is this platform is paid for, and if you are a paying member, of this organization, this platform is available for everybody. So if you have a YouTube channel and you guys are going to be talking and you want to broadcast something that you're doing, it's totally available to you if you are a paid and supporting member, because that's what we do. We also have Overleaf. Overleaf is where we publish our papers. So when we do our proceedings, Overleaf is an online share latex. It's a wonderful program. It allows us to not deal with things like Word, and allows us to put together books. So that's really great. So that's all available. So I'm going to bring up James Keene because we still have 11 minutes here before we go off the air. Go ahead, James.
Hi, just very briefly, looking at the comments section today and in the past, it's very common for people to use terms which are not defined. Yes. And like light wave, I'm looking now, light wave medium, quote unquote. How is that defined? Density, light speed at this density. How is that defined? So my suggestion is that there may be a lot of people here, which you are attracting, and cheers to you, Dave, who are interested in physics, but maybe they need some math tutorials that we might feature here. How, simple algebra, get into a little calculus to tell people when you're define for me in a mathematical expression what you mean by a light wave medium, and all field, charge, all these other things which are terms which are thrown around. That way, person A's definition of a medium mathematically can be compared with person B's definition to see if they're actually talking about the same thing, like say some sort of an ether medium, for example, or not. In other words, in summary and conclusion, and to end my comment, without a simple mathematical definition of the terms being used, we're going to the people using those terms are going to get nowhere. They'll have no idea whether what they're talking about as a medium or as a density of what, et cetera, is different or the same as to what another person is talking about. So my point is, we might have some math tutorials, because a lot of people say, well, we don't know much about the math. And so we're just going to talk what I would call poetry physics. Well, we should have some seminars on simple algebra, on simple calculus, on logic, and functions, or functions, exclusive ors, etc. What are the truth tables, and so forth. End of comment. Thank you.
Okay. Yeah, that's very interesting. Yeah, I agree. I've been one of the sticklers on this forever. You got to remember, my life's work professionally has been to get computers to understand human language, and to understand human language. And that's one of the biggest problems. I'll give you exactly. Here's the way I would put it, James. Really, what's happening is not so much math. It's that people talk about things without having a physical model. If you are a person, you say gravity, and you don't have a physical model, no offense, why even talk about it? If you're talking about light, and you say that it's not in a medium, and then you say, well, then what is it? Then you have a problem. That's why you see in that chart that I showed everybody, all of today's models are remedying those problems. And I will give you, Borkert's an example. Here's our book. And you're going to see right there, Appendix A. What does it say? Lexicon. And if you go to the pages, we have pages of things what light is. Light is a stream of G1 particles in a repetitive distribution of G1s. We tell you exactly what it is. Now, you don't have to agree with this or even care about it. But what we are doing, what we have to do is not so much. Here's the problem with definitions. A person comes to me and says, well, I ask them, what's the definition of light or what gravity is? Well, it all comes down to what they think it really is physically. And we have very few people talking about it. Is it a graviton? Is it a wave? Is it, what is it? Even if it's electric field. I mean, here's the thing. Electric universe, gravity, everybody, most people in the electric universe will say gravity, of course, is an electrical phenomenon. And I go, okay, what's electrical phenomenon? And so you can say it's this, you can say it's that, you can use terms. I don't think it's a mathematical problem. It's a physical problem. We don't have why are we writing, my dad and I are writing this book? It's because we happened to come across, my dad happened to come across a model for light. So we put it together with everything else we knew. And we said, we're going to give you a physical model for everything. There's nothing in the universe that has to be, if it's a force, it's a mass, and it's a moving mass. That comes from Borkert. I'm not saying we're right. I'm saying that's what we see as the direction. Mathematics is not physics either. In our book, we have all kinds of models, and you don't need physics, mathematics for it. The problem when you see that energy, mass is not energy. Someone says that, right? Well, if you don't have a physical model for any of that, what is energy? Of course, we know is a, how do you say, a concept. But anytime, I agree with you, James, people I love it. You were saying poetry, science poetry. That is a great term or saying. I love that. Science poetry, that's what it is. People are throwing out words without any physicality behind it. Now, it's different if you're talking about logic. Like, for instance, I know Nick Percival, he talks a lot about logic. And so that's a different thing. If you have a theory and it's based on certain assumptions and there's got to be a logic behind it, you don't need necessarily the physicality for that. You can talk about, well, logic says that you are sort of wrong here, and that's why. So anyways, that's I'm thinking to myself, that's what we need to do is maybe we should have I will I'm lining up people, but it's hard to line them up, especially part of the year. I've got people lining up. It doesn't mean I'm going to have them next week, so I always have to have topics. But maybe one topic we'll talk about is physicality and definitions, because I don't believe it has anything to do with math. I don't think it, and this poetry being, like you said, words being thrown around constantly is something that it does irk me. And I always say, okay, like here, I mean, this is interesting thing. And again, no offense to this person, James O. I'm not here putting you on the spot, but gravity is a form of magnetism. Okay, what's magnetism? Waves are never attractive. Why? What is it? What waves of what? Particles flying around are never attractive. Yeah, they're not. I agree. And actually, in models like Borkert's model, my model, my father and I's model, Jeff Yee's model, Laurie Gardine's model, there is no attraction. There's no such thing. Forces are push. There's only pushes in the universe. But again, you say something like gravity is a form of magnetism. But if you have gravity as a form of magnetism and you have something like this, and again, I'm not telling you this is the answer. Here it is for us. We tell you exactly what every one of those are. Gravity is a bunch of particles doing this. Magnetism is looping particles. Electric is this and luminescent. Okay, we got a model to go from. It can be right or wrong, but at least you start from somewhere. We've got to stop saying words. Here's the way I look at it. And this is why my dad and I are writing our book, for instance. Again, it's only one solution. There can be many solutions. I'm not here to convince you. But here's the problem. And that's why I think our book's going to be well received. The average guy in the street, you go up to him and say, gravity's electric. They're going to look like you and say, okay, but what is it? Can you tell me what that is? No. Do you know what electricity is? Well, they're electrons. Is that really what's happening? What's light? Well, we don't really know. If gravity is electric, how does that really work? Well, People are just want to know what it is. Don't tell me how it works. Tell me what the frick it is. And I think that's one of the things why you have all 5 models today out there trying to give physicality to it. Because then when you say gravitic field, if you say it in our model, we can tell you exactly what it is. It's particles in random directions that are similar. That's it. And if you tell that to a person on the street, they're going to go, oh, okay, I can get that. If you say to them, gravity is part of electrical or magnetic, they're not going to get anything. We got to give the world physicality. So I think that's a totally interesting discussion. I think there are several discussions we can come up with and talk about as a group. But I agree. I think we need to do that. We used to, one of the persons who passed away a number of years ago, gosh darn it, he was always talking about assumptions. And I know there are people here that know who I'm talking about. Oh, gosh darn it. He was one of the first people I met in the MPA in 96. And he always talked about your assumptions. What are your assumptions? What is it based on? And what's your vocabulary? What does it mean? Again, we just talk, we just talk the world, let's see, we talk about it surrounding a massive field extent surrounding the solves of spooky action. Again, a field of what? That was one of my things. Is what is a field? Again, let's talk about it physically. What can we do? And that's why ether is so popular, because I think people have ether on the brain, and because they say that's the only way we have light. But we know that's not true. In computer science, if you said that that the way to communicate was bashing particles together through collisions, we wouldn't have the digital age. The digital age shows us that light comes in pulses, so it's things in pulses. But anyways, those kinds of things we need to discuss. We need to find out, the moment we give a definition for something, the moment we give a word for something, is the moment we have to commit to a model. And I think that's where it falls down to me. So, fields are orbits to me. Yeah, okay, at least the person's talking about that. Orbits of what? Again, I mean, are we, as James says, I love that. Hey, James, you got that science poetry. That's really, I mean, we've got science poets out there who don't contribute to science, but anyways, I want to thank everybody. It's 12:01 on my time around the world. I think it's 5 or 6 o'clock in the afternoon if you are in Europe. And of course, if you are in Australia, it's like 1 in the morning, maybe even 2 in the morning now if you're on the west coast of Australia, which is probably the hardest place to watch us. But I want to thank everybody again for their support. I do want to remind everybody, again, I keep harping on it, but we need you guys to support financially. We have so many different ways now to do that. Just go there and click subscribe to fellow critical thinkers YouTube channels, subscribe, like their Facebook pages, watch their videos, or at least go to them, but certainly subscribe to our channel, let people know about it, and go to our website, register, and pay a modest $5 a month. That's all we ask. That's why and how the world works today. And we have a lot of great conclusions, I think, from looks like we're going to be online. That seems to be almost unanimous, that in-person is valuable, but that probably won't happen this year at all. It's probably good to think about. We've got great ideas about maybe having our presentations recorded. I know myself how we can translate the physical conference to still have our proceedings and still have our papers, all of those kinds of things. So I think it was really a fruitful day, and I really appreciate people coming in and brainstorming along with us. I do plan to talk about it, and I'm going to try to talk about those things in the beginning, almost like a meeting before we do our talks about some type of subject. But look forward to me reaching out for us to help out. I'm going to come up with some ideas and some times to meet. I'll probably have to forego time in Australia, but for us to do maybe more some types of meetings where we can get together and have more people helping out, because I certainly want to do that. I want to thank Richard Borland, Nick Percival for being here, Bob Gray, James Keene, Franklin, Ian Cohen, and everybody in the chat room who has contributed. It's been great. And, let's take a look at what this organization is about and head on out here. And remember what I say, always stay critical, stay thinking. I'm David de Hilster, your science therapist, trying to get you to the promised land of becoming a critical thinker, not telling you what truth is. Let you find out that yourself. Ciao for now.